pleasure welcoming to the executive suite, multi-award winning and Grammy nominated singer and songwriter. And you can't mention soul without mentioning his name, the one and only Kenny Lattimore. What's going on?
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for interviewing me today.
No problem, no problem. So listen, I got to start off by saying over 2 decades in the game and still going.
Oh, man.
What keeps you motivated to keep on going, and not only just keep going, but especially just talk about love, and love?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is about, well, love never goes out of style. It's,
yes.
It's just a constant. And because of that being the subject matter, it allows me to keep doing what I do. But in addition to that, it's about collaboration. It's about people that I've surrounded myself with, the young, other creatives, the artists that who respect my legacy, but at the same time are like, you know what, we want to put you in a position where your music is continually relevant and crosses generations.
Yes.
So as we're streaming, as we're talking about this particular album, Here to Stay, that is out and everything now. I love the fact that there's a new generation of listeners that's really getting into it and picking their favorite songs, and it's still different than some of my other traditional fans in terms of their favorites. It's an interesting process just listening back to what people are getting from it.
Got it. Was it because I hear you talk about the streaming now? Was that the reason you dropped so many singles back to back, because of the streaming purposes?
You know, I'm totally in this new place, this new position where I am learning. I feel like I'm a student all over again, because I'm learning about what streaming is, and because I still was like, wait a minute, it's not everything. You're putting 4 singles out. What does that mean? But it was the strategy of my partners over at SRG to introduce the album with the 4 singles and allow people to become familiar with the sound of it, because the sound is a little different for me.
Yes. And
you know, we're continuing to evolve. So in the end, I think it's been great. It's created a lot of excitement for the music.
Okay. Now I want to take you back. I know you get this all the time, but I'm a wedding DJ. You know, I do the clubs, I do this and that, but I have my own wedding company and I do a lot of weddings. For you is in my top 5, actually top 3.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? That. And I want to know, I know you get this, how many times do you think you've performed this record for, you know, wedding couples? I know you've done it for a lot of celebrities as well. But can you put like maybe a number on that, the amount of times? Because this is a staple song in the wedding community. I know you know this by now.
Wow. That's a good question. I really can't think of a number. I would say thousands.
Oh, wow.
You know, but just for weddings alone, I'm sure I've done 100 weddings.
It has to be. It has to be. Okay.
I've definitely lost count, because, you know, during any given year, it's multiple weddings that I sing at, and where people have come to me. You know, it's interesting because I remember when 𝓊𝓏 Anthony was getting married to 𝓔𝓏𝓲𝓽𝓮, and she was like, this was my dream since I was 17 years old, you know.
Wow.
And to hear something like that, it's mind-blowing. And so whenever I'm able to make that dream a reality, it makes me feel really great.
Do you remember writing that record, and where did the record come about at that time?
Actually, it was written by one of my best friends. His name is 𝓔𝓁𝓮𝓮.
Okay.
And Kenny literally wrote that authentically for his wife. They were about to get married, and he asked me if I'd sing the song at his wedding reception. And when I did the song, I went back and I just remember seeing the lyrics. It was like, shh, fidelity and stability. And also I was like, how am I going to sing all these words? And when I listened to his melody, I said, oh man, you are brilliant. And I asked him if I could just do the song on my demo at the time.
Okay.
So when I did the demo, the rest is history. It just kept taking on a life of its own. We brought in Mr. Barry Eastman to do the final production on it, where he added live strings and he made it a much bigger song, and then the Grammy nomination and everything.
Yes.
Where we just authentically did a song. We didn't sit down and go, let's do a wedding song so we can make some money, because it's going to be a staple for people for years to come. That totally has been the surprise and the beauty of what music can do.
Yes, yes, definitely. Okay, so you get married, and then boom, the pandemic happens.
Yeah.
How was the pandemic for you? You and your wife at that time,
Mhm.
and was there anything that you learned about yourself during that time?
Well, you know what? It was a really great foundational time because what I learned was to respect time itself.
Yes.
Um, when I think about it, the time that we were able to spend together in that complete year was probably the equivalent of 3 or 4 years of time
Without
when
the
I
moving and
consider
traveling.
being the moving and traveling and being on the road touring.
Yes.
So it was a really brilliant time for us to lay the foundation for our relationship. And so that now that live music is back and I'm on the road, the first thing we did was we went on tour together. Went out to celebrate her book. She has a book called Sis Don't Settle, How to Stay Smart
Yes.
in Matters of the Heart. So we went out and we did a concert and conversation. And that way, it made it feel like, wow, we're still sharing in this world. And you get a peek into my world a lot more. When she does divorce court and her shows, I go to those shows sometimes, to the tapings as well.
Okay.
So when we're not together, we have an accurate picture of what's really going on. There's no
Mhm.
mind spinning going, I wonder if this is going. It's like, no, this is what's happening. I've been there. I've seen it. This is, what the scene is like. And so this is kind of the new us.
Got
It's
it. Got it.
funny. It's
Got it.
like,
Got it.
I know her deeply, but now it's
Right.
like this travel stuff is like the new us.
Whose idea
Redefining.
was this to do the
Right.
book and the singing and all together? Like whose idea?
We kind of, I don't know if it was me one day. I think I was talking about it one day because I normally do intimate venues like city wineries, and there's a place in the Bay, Yoshi's,
Okay.
and venues like that are, fairly easy for me to just fill. But I thought about if I had a book out. I know a lot of times people go and they try to fill these big arenas and they talk about the book, and that's great. But I was like, where would I want to talk about a book? I'd want it to be intimate, and I'd want people to have dinner and wine, and we're sitting there, we're just chilling, and we're enjoying this great conversation about the book. But at the same time, I'll give them a full concert so
Got it.
that it enhances the whole evening, and it's a great ticket. So we had a blast doing that, and
Got
and
it.
again, acclimating my wife to what my world is like.
Got it.
So now I return to my regular tours, my long form show on the 16th of January in a place called Ram's Head in Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay.
So that's where I'll do my first long form show
Got it. Got
in
it.
a while.
Okay. Okay. So listen, uh, I want to ask this because you got to ask Kenny a love question. You got to ask
Oh
Kenny a love question. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So, what have you learned in your past relationships, not only your past marriage, but your past relationships that you would do differently now with your current wife?
um, wow. I think, see, I've lived so, uh, wow. There was a time when I would say I would just be freer in my communication because, see, as a man, we are not socialized to talk about our feelings and talk about different things.
Right about that.
And there have been times in relationships in the past where I lived walking on eggshells as opposed to being free and saying, hey, this is what I'm feeling, or being expressive enough to not live in a fear that if I say what I'm
I'm
feeling,
feeling
it's
yes.
going to end the relationship because I'm going to be honest about what I'm.
Yeah.
Um, that was one of the greatest things. I said I would never bring anything inauthentic into my
Oh,
marriage.
got it.
I want to
Got
make
it.
sure that the way that I'm communicating is always right on the surface, so she'll know this is how I'm feeling. And a lot of times, if you if you do go through any challenges, but you're authentic in your communication, it's so much easier to squash that stuff because a respect for who you are as a person is built.
Yes. Yes.
Because a lot of times we as men become almost like caricatures. I was having a panel discussion yesterday about this with some other celebrity men, and we were just talking about you kind of get lost in it, like you don't really exist, because we live in a society that is very uh, woman strong. Everything's marketed to women, 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 and even though this is man's world, and we have that thing. We understand
Yeah.
that there are different things that I think we control, and then there's different things that are catered, towards women. But from an emotional standpoint and being authentic, it's something that we evolve to in maturity.
Yes.
But it's so important so that you're not a non-person in a relationship, but that everybody has significance. And we as men want to be respected. Not that women don't, but we definitely want respect.
Yes.
At our core.
Yes. Yes. Well, listen, since you're giving this advice here, because this is some great advice that I've been married 13 years. So,
nice. Congrats. Yeah.
Thank you. So this is definitely some great advice. So talking about advice, is there anything you would tell your younger self as an artist, or even tell a younger R&B artist today growing, like, hey, you know what? Take this lead, or this is, some good advice as a artist coming up.
Yeah. Wow. I'd probably tell me, just relax, kid. You don't have to be perfect.
Okay.
You don't have to try to prove that you're anything every single time you go out, because that's how it felt. It still feels that way to a degree, that, wow, when I go on stage, I got to prove that I'm the singer, because if you have a bad night, or if you have any, anything you're going to hear so much about that, for years to come. It like never goes away. And now that there's the internet too, and social media,
hit rewind.
They're gonna put the hit rewind, put the worst performances of you up. I used to think that way. But when I came out, I learned to be more in the moment. I remember 𝓔𝓁𝓲𝓽𝓮 telling me one night, she said, when we were on tour, and I had a lot of success, and I was well into my third album maybe. And she said, you know what, you are a good singer, but you're not free. And it's not a whole lot of people that could tell me that, but I knew what she meant when she said that. And I said, you know what, I'm really not. I'm still trying to prove, I'm on stage with 𝓔𝓁𝓲𝓽𝓮, and she's getting ready to sing all these songs and hit 5 octaves and all this other junk. And I got to stand next to her and sing. And I'm not competing, but am I as good as she is up in here? Right. There's nowhere. I don't compare men and women's voices. I just don't, because they're not in the same space and frequency.
Yes.
But I still was like, am I good enough to be here? A lot of times I thought I was good. I was good in general, but I'm not sure that I always embraced that I was good enough to be where I was.
Okay. So let's talk music now. New York Times calls you the modern soul. What do you feel about that title, that name, and why do you think they went with that name?
You know what? I think that because if you've not seen me perform live, I'm very different than what people seem to think I'm going to be.
Okay.
And I think when they came out to see the show that night, because I know that was written after I did a show, the way that music makes me move. I remember hearing Michael Jackson say this, and I'm nowhere near like I don't dance and all that like Michael Jackson, but they would say to Michael Jackson, how are you moving? He would say, this is what the music is doing. The music is moving my body a certain way. I'm the same way. I go, oh, this is what I'm feeling in the moment. So the passion that I sing with is what that particular writer, I think, connected with. They were like, whoa, what makes it soul music is if I believe this person, I believe they're singing this song like they're really going through this with all the emotion and drama and everything that the song deserves. I think that's what they got that night. And I think that's what people get when they come to see the show.
Yes.
And sometimes they're just surprised because people think for you, because it was such a big song, that I'm going to come up and sit on a stool and just sing ballads all night.
Ballads. Got it. Yeah.
And when I come out, there's so many different layers and levels to what I do that it's a refreshing surprise to people. And that's what keeps it exciting about me performing. One of the first things I do when I come out is I survey my audience, and I go, hey, how many people have seen me in the past year or two, even, or 3 years? And inevitably, half the room's hands may be like, nope, we haven't seen you, or whatever. Then I go, well, let's go back to the beginning. But it's an indicator almost not just to them for the show, but to me as well, that Kenny, give them what they don't know. Don't get self-indulgent and caught up in the fact that you've been singing, oh, I've been singing this other song because let me tell you, about the third year that I was singing For You, I had changed it to a straight ahead jazz song. I had changed it to an acoustic song. I had changed it and changed it and changed it for me. And then I just realized this is somebody's song.
Yeah.
Somebody's, I mean, this is
Somebody.
really somebody's song. The
Somebody
way that it
else.
was recorded is their song.
Yes.
And you're self-indulgent, changing it to something to suit you because you're bored with singing it. I had to check myself.
Yes, let me tell you something. I've seen artists get booed before because they wanted to come out and perform 5 new songs before they get to the hit. Even if they did 1 new song and then the hit and then the other songs, you know, just to
Yeah.
give people a little taste. So
Yeah.
thank you for noticing that and doing that. Have you been to
Absolutely.
any cities that blew your mind away so far that you could name? I know you've been around already, but it was any city that was like, hey, this one right here, they just blew me away?
Really going home, because I hadn't been home in DC
Okay,
in a long
DC,
time.
yes.
And we did the city wineries to 2 sold out shows. And it's always great to see my people, to see my family and all of that. But their reaction to the songs have been so phenomenal. I'm gonna have to say New York too. When I did New York, it was standing ovations and
New York, that's what we do. That's what we do.
And LA was the same way too. LA, standing ovations. I got a chance to sing all of the genres of music, because in my show I do about 3 to 4 genres of music,
Nice.
a couple different languages. I do everything to tell my story about why I am who I am. And it was so well received. It just made me feel great.
Okay. Nice.
Because it's just the beginning again. We're just ramping up to put together the show that people will see over the next year or 2. And I just, you know, I'm very careful to make sure that I craft it and make it right, so that when people see it again, that they're moved by it.
Got it. What other languages do you speak? Because I didn't know about that part. I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't know about that part.
Well, I don't fluently
Well,
speak
speak it?
any other languages, but I had to study. I studied classical music growing up,
Got
and
it.
I did about 9 different languages. So in my show, I do
Ah.
some German, I do some Italian, I do some Spanish,
Ooh,
and
okay.
yeah.
Nice. Okay.
And sometimes I'll just do the German and the Italian, but I go back and forth. It just depends on who my audience is again. Because if I look out, sometimes I'll see people who may be obvious to the eye, maybe of Hispanic descent, and maybe I'll give them something just in case. I can be completely wrong, but I look out and I just try to survey, who do I have here? If everybody's there and I start speaking a language and they have no idea what I'm saying, and it's not a part of the story, I'm just trying not to I'm not trying to just throw it out there like I'm just flexing right now.
Got it.
Trying to make sure it makes sense.
Got it. I totally understand. Now, talking about throwing out there, I heard you talk about this in another interview. Somebody asked you this, and I just wanted to know, does it still happen? And you know where I'm going to. You know where I'm going with this.
I think I do.
Do women still throw panties on stage? Does it still happen?
It still happens.
Oh my God.
That is
man.
Let me tell you, the most awkward place that has happened to me is at a play, like a gospel play.
Gospel play?
And I'm saying it wasn't a gospel play, but it was more a play that had a very positive and inspirational overtone, where I was actually proposing to somebody on stage, you know, like that's a part of the story.
Play, yeah.
And all of a sudden you see, ooh, you know, you're like, oh,
that's just like
what, you know, and you can't break character. You can,
but
if you do it like Tyler Perry or something, you can get an amazing laugh out of it. But that was probably the most awkward place that I've ever
Wow, and you know what? I guess this is not a good transition, but you know, I'm gonna try it anyway. Are we gonna get any type of more gospel out of you? Because I know you did like 1 or 2 records last year, right? Was it 1? I know you did.
I did. Myron Butler had a project, and I think it was Grammy nominated as well.
Yes.
And when I did my Christmas album, I used that as a platform to sing the gospel and have something directly related to my name. So every song on there was done on Motown Gospel as a label. And some people don't know this, but even before Never Too Busy came out, I was a part of a project called Broken. And it was, I did 4 songs on that album. People may know, be encouraged, no matter what's going on, he'll make it all right. That song was huge. It was the single for Be Encouraged was a single for the album Broken, but I did 4 songs on that particular
By the way,
gospel CD.
thank you for the acapella, because the ladies was asking for that, so I was going to ask you at the end, but you gave it to them already. You know what I'm saying? Listen, the album is out, Here to Stay. I love the title.
Thank you.
I love the title. I don't even have to ask you why the title, but for the interview purposes, why the title?
Why the title?
And what can people expect from this album that we haven't heard from your last 9 albums, right? Because it's the 10th studio album. Am I correct?
Yes, that's correct. And Here to Stay really is about my commitment to the love song. The love song is here to stay. My life and relationship, my dedication to love is here to stay. And my dedication to growth is here to stay. Being a part of the music industry, what you can expect from this album is hearing almost a fresh, like a new Kenny Lattimore, because of the collaborations with 𝓔𝓁 Madison Wesley and Darren Champ Jenkins and DeCarlos Waller and Daryl Simmons, who kept me in a space where I could be traditional with my R&B, really straight hit traditional song. Yeah. I tried to, and Aaron Lindsay and Natural and Kennedy Lindsay. And I mean, there's so many great people, Business Boy, who produced Pressure. I am grateful that they took a chance and gave me their babies, if you will. Now, a lot of times I write or I direct and all that kind of stuff on the song as well, but they really did the majority of the work. This was a great time to showcase some new talent, but just use my voice as an instrument to open doors for them.
Got it.
So what you're going to hear is a lot of fresh sounds. You're going to hear a lot of very heartfelt lyrics and very sensitive lyrics. This is an album that reflects my relationship right now and what I'm living.
Okay, I love it. I love it. Now I'm gonna ask you a hard question here. Out of all the tracks on the album, if you had to pick one favorite track, which one would it be?
Okay, I don't know if I can say this is my favorite, but I can say that this is the song that when I was performing, it kind of took me out of the box the most. Okay. And that is a song called Lose You.
Yes.
Lose You, it started out as like a kind of a little poetry, almost like an interlude. And, but the hook was there. And I was like, wait a minute, can we do a song? Why would I something to lose you? I was like, well, we can do something with that to come back to that hook. It's a good hook, but we just have to do the right verses and all that. And Madison started working on those verses, and I was like, whoa, okay, the flow of this is very different for Kenny Lattimore. But what I love is that I was entrusted to go in and make it happen. It was an experiment initially, but once it happened, I got to give kudos to Claude Villani over at SRG, because he was the one that said, oh, this is your single. And I was like, huh? I didn't do it like that. I did it more of as an experiment, but he was like, no, this is significant. The world should hear this song. And I had no clue, but that's why you collaborate, and that's why you do partnerships with people, because it's hard to be objective about you. Yes. Because you're not going to hear what everybody else hears. You have your own experience because you're subjective. You're hearing through your own tunnel.
Yes.
And but I'm grateful to have the team that I have around me to push me to other levels and to allow me to keep growing and learning.
Well, listen, Kenny Lattimore, thank you so much for stopping by the Executive Suite. And since you're talking about it, can you please introduce to the people your single, one of your singles off your album, Here to Stay, Lose You.
All right. Well, this is me. I'm bearing my soul, y'all. I'm being vulnerable, not only in a lyric, but as a recording artist, and stepping out of my comfort zone to do something a little different. I hope you love it. Hope you enjoy it. Hope it translates to you and you feel the authenticity of Lose You. Hey, I'm Kenny Lattimore, and when it comes to R&B, there's nothing like being in the Executive Suite with DJ Executive. Fellas, you can fall back. I'll be taking all that. I just made sure that she's my only girl. Listen to the Executive Suite.